How has a large number of American students and tourists in Florence influenced your personal perception of American culture?
People being in Florence hasn't necessarily changed my initial perception of Americans, but it has definitely confirmed what I believed before I moved here. Americans in general aren't very well educated, that they're fairly self-centered, and they're very loud. That specifically is something I've noticed since being here, that they don't tend to be quiet and in themselves. If they're having a conversation, they don't really care who hears it. They tend to just be unaware of everybody else around them and mainly just think about themselves, the group that they're in, rather than everybody else. If anything, my perception of Americans has become poorer. Where I'm from has a lot of tourism, and I do experience in Edinburgh lots of tourists coming for the Fringe, and it has quite a big international population during the summer. In Edinburgh, they don't seem as annoying and in the way, whereas in Florence, because it's such a small city, I feel as though that Americans come across like they just want everything to be for them, how they want it fast, they want it now. They want like America, but in Florence. And they don't tend to have the patience for the culture.
I think it doesn't really change or influence my opinion on Americans. I come from a city that's very close to the US, so I'm really used to like hanging out with them or the US culture or like overall having them around me. My family's from there too, so coming here, I'm used to it. So having so many tourists here or Americans isn't really something weird for me or something that would change my perception of them because I know them. And also because I think right now I'm living with two Americans. So if I could say anything, a lot of people would say that their perception would change negatively. But to me, I would say positively because even though I have family there and I go out there a lot, I have never really lived with American people. And now that I do, I would definitely say that Florence changed my perception of Americans in a positive way because I'm even closer to them than I was before.
I feel like for me, I've always been very involved in American culture. I've always found it very attractive and very, from hip hop to like Hollywood movies and stuff. It's always been something, I guess in the creative sense, politically and all that stuff. I've never been involved in. In general, it's like as Italian, we have a sort of way of talking about Americans. Conversations I guess I could have with my friends about American people always go how their world is so much more different than our world. They don't really understand much. Like, you see tourists coming here and it's like, they blatantly tell they're American tourists. It's not, it's not necessarily such a bad thing because we don't know anything about the US. So, it goes both ways really. But American tourists, there's something, that's for sure. It's free talk, as in everyone kind of agrees that it's a bit of a burden.
A burden?
Yes. I have friendships with Italian friends that are based around American culture and I don't know, a love for hip hop if you will. But when it comes to talking about people, again, it's always kind of the same thing. No, it's not overall a positive image. Which sucks really, I don't know why. To do with American politics. American news and media is consumed by everyone in the world, no matter what. Like, everyone knows Donald Trump and shit. He gets around.
They made me understand American culture better than I did before. I would say that I probably knew US on the spot. I went to the US before having a long teaching experience. And my teaching experience started a bit before I went to the US and stayed there for a few months. The experience in the US on the spot changed me so much, my perception of the US, that I had an experience of the American culture filtered by what I did with American people that I used to teach. The first act I did with American people is to be in the position of teaching, of being an instructor. And so the American people I knew were my students. And that filtered my perception of the American culture in the sense of first experiencing dramatic differences between the American educational system and the Italian or European. As a professor, I was mostly an instructor that had to hand over very often operational content and not just theoretical. That was the most dramatic difference I found between the two cultures.